your assistance in as well. Whether you're doing it for states, local governments, private entities, you're probably already doing these methodologies because it makes sense. Well, help the elephant figure out how to implement these so that we can move more efficiently and faster, maybe even cheaper for our customers.
Yeah, something I'd like to hear Jillian talk about a little bit maybe is some alternative contracting methods that we're considering right now. But you know, as you say, your bread and butter was design, bid, build. Ours was design, build, and we've done a lot of that. The majority of our work, and you know, has been required to be design, build by Congress, and so unless we got a special dispensation. So that's sort of the other side of that coin. And I think any delivery method can be successful. It's just what's appropriate for that particular project or need. And in our case, design build has worked pretty well for us, but we're seeing industry interest in early contractor involvement. We're seeing some best practices around that. And we've dipped our toes into that with a CMC contract that's underway right now, which is in our Hanoi NEC. And that's so far so good, but it's just our first one. And so there will be lessons to be learned there. And so we're trying to leverage other agency partners. We've been having discussions with Corps of Engineers Baltimore District, with FBI, with GSA, about how they've implemented some of these alternative delivery methods successfully. So, we don't have to learn our lessons one at a time. We can learn from government lessons as a whole and keep pace with industry. And also, as Jillian mentioned, we're interested in increasing the pool of folks that are interested in offering on our projects. And so we want to make sure that the risk profile or the risk acceptance that contractors are making in doing our work is supported by the way we deliver the contract. That we're using a delivery method that balances that risk that we undertake, that the contractor undertakes, so that we can both look back and say that that was a successful project from our perspective and from the perspective of the contractor.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to make our elephant dance, because right now our dance card is getting a little bit slim. Yeah. But nonetheless, we are considering other methods to ensure that we are getting competition and ensuring that the buildings that we need to either renovate or build have qualified contractors. I know through these conferences that we've had, I think something that was interesting to me that the FBI is doing is the design build to budget. One of the executive orders is to ensure that we're doing firm fixed price contracting as much as possible. And I think in the realm of international construction and the amount of risk associated with that may be something that a lot of companies aren't willing to pallet. So trying to find different ways to evaluate risk and incorporate that into our acquisition strategy is something we're definitely looking into right now, and in trying to make this a partnership that's beneficial for both of us. Because by no means do we want any of our contractors going in and over their head with the projects that we have under constraints that they couldn't foresee. I know about the design build to budget is interesting, is that you're not competing on monetary parameters, you're competing on scope. Like how much of a building can you give me for $200 million? And I know that's something we're interested in going into and exploring. We were talking about other transaction authority, OTA, earlier. I know that DOW does have that authority, Department of State does not. I know that's something that we are trying to evaluate currently, because certain things that our contracts require based on the FAR, and more or less sometimes can limit competition and make more barriers for competition with our projects. So with those goals in mind, exploring different options is definitely something the Department of State's going to be doing in the next year, 2, 3, and ensuring that we have what industry is calling for and what we need to make and design and construct our buildings.
Yeah, just because I'm I guess the DOW guy. So yeah, OTA, it's a thing that's coming. It's not necessarily anything, I don't have any wisdom about it. I don't have really any knowledge about it. Stay engaged with your local SAME posts, your local district commanders. All district commanders, contracting folks, project managers, the whole team, we're getting trained on it next Tuesday. So we're getting our implementation guidance regarding how to use OTAs next Tuesday. So maybe at your next post meeting after next Tuesday, snag a district commander. We always stick out and ask them about OTAs.
Yeah, having a non-FAR-based contract is going to be something that's interesting, and I know for many of us, it's something that we haven't done in quite a while, at least on the government side.
The FAR is like a big quilt. We like it. It's comfortable.
Yeah, the RFO, the RFO, they're trying to, reduce these restrictions and provide more flexibility. But definitely having a non-FAR-based OTA is something that provides the most flexibility that I think on the government side we're very interested in pursuing.
Thank you. You guys offer a great deal of information. Are there any, we have a little time for maybe one or two questions. Are there any questions out there that you would like to ask?
Hi, Emmett Ahern with DLR Group. You talked about the pivot to the recapitalization. Could you shed light on the stalled procurements at Brussels, Kazakhstan, Mongolia? Are they still on the list? What's going to happen in the next 5 years for those projects? Has there been a major shift to the renovation projects?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that Brussels is stalled. It's still, we're still progressing with our design development and our permitting process. And regarding Almaty and Kazakhstan and Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, those are still in the procurement process. And so, sometimes things take longer to procure than we planned for, but they're still in active solicitation right now. As far as our capital program longer term, we do have a new embassy or a new consulate compound or a new annex planned for at least one every year, depending on the size. Of course, we have to fit within our $2 billion cap. And so that means if you have a larger project, you have just one big one and then a few smaller ones that fill in the rest of the gaps. But we still do have those projects coming up, but just as we've seen in the last 10 years, I believe ENR has shown almost a 55% cost escalation in the construction industry in the last 10 years, which is significant because it means that $2 billion we have doesn't buy as much as it used to. It buys fewer projects, and especially if you have a larger project, it buys fewer large projects, and then many smaller ones. But so we're still, planning the new construction, but we are also adding in there, as I mentioned, our maturing facilities are going to need work. And then we, in addition to the work that we put in building those, 10, 15, 20 years ago, we still have a lot of other mature buildings around our portfolio that needs major renovation or selective improvements to make sure that they're going to meet the safety and security standards that we have to the extent that that building can. And so there's just a whole world of work for us. We have an $80 billion real estate portfolio. And so that means that regardless of whether, how many new construction projects we're doing, we still have a lot of work to maintain and operate and renovate those buildings.
And something else I think to note is that the federal workforce is the landscape's changing, and the blueprint for these certain projects are certainly changing with USAID, no longer needing that space and changing the blueprint for our bridging designs that we have for these projects. So these bridging designs do take quite a while, and when certain policies and things that are changing with how many people are going to be at these posts, it's important that we don't oversize or undersize. So all of these things are being considered when we are acquiring these new buildings.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? I think while we're waiting, I'm going to say thank you to each of you. Is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with as just a last thought?
While you think about it.
Thank
Okay.
you. I always appreciate the
Thanks,
person who
Ed.
goes first, or I like to
I'll
take
go
control and
first.
say, Chris, why don't you go first?
Sure. Hey, one, thanks again for being here. Two, thanks for being our partners in delivery of this. Like I said up front, we don't succeed if you don't succeed. Okay, so myself and my team are hyper focused on ensuring that you have the tools to succeed across the CENTCOM AOR. You're going to be absolutely critical to the reestablishment of the collective defense and the protection of U.S. government interests, what they may be in the Middle East. We are not getting out of the Middle East anytime soon. Probably not. So we will reestablish. It just might look a little bit different. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Middle East District will be there, and we look forward to working with you in that endeavor.
And maybe I'll go next. I would just say that, the reason I'm here is because I continue to be inspired by our mission and our buildings and what we do with them and the importance of that work. I think that, people maybe don't really think about embassies aside from the ambassador or the political folks, but there's a lot of important work being done by all of the U.S. government agencies out of these buildings. And it's sometimes the only representation of the United States that a citizen of that host country might ever encounter. It might be the only America they ever see. And so it's really important that we get it right, that it's an inspiring building, that it is appropriate for the location, and that it provides a comfortable, gracious experience, not just for those who might be, say, there to meet with the ambassador, but for the visa applicants, for the American citizens that go there because they lost their passport or they need support because they were a victim of a crime. It's a really important representation of all of us, and because, as I mentioned earlier, we're all taxpayers, these are our buildings, it's not just my building. And so I hope that we continue to partner with those of you. Thank you for attending the panel today and wanting to join us on this journey. And really appreciate your engagement, and hope to talk to you all more.
So I guess I have the final thought. Okay, great. I think it would be injustice if I didn't mention utilizing sam.gov, seeing what opportunities that we're posting and that are available. If you have questions, there's contact information. If there's some sort of feedback that you want to provide on how you can save the government money on these requirements, that would be beneficial. I also feel I have to mention contacting our liaison, our industry liaison in the Bureau of Global Acquisitions, and reaching out to them for different contacts and opportunities. And then finally, I think Lauren would like this, is reaching out to OBO External Affairs and going to the Build With Us website. There's a plethora of information there for you, including, sam.gov, but going and researching OBO and the requirements there. There's a lot of information there for you to consider, and if you have questions, there's resources there to ask them. So to close out on partnering, you have to partner with us, and we want to partner with you on making sure that we are building safe, secure facilities for not only our foreign service folks, but as Stephanie mentioned, our citizens abroad. Thank you.
Thank you each for being here today, and thank you, audience, for being here. I hope you've learned something new today, and if you see these folks after we finish, please grab them and speak to them individually. And that's it. Thank you. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you.